So going further on that, what we find is that when we look at these different human rights, the 30 human rights, the core question that we need to ask as higher education people or as people who are going to train the youth is that are these rights being granted or being utilized or are being put to action by the people around us and by ourselves? Or there is something that is stopping these rights from being realized to the fullest extent. Say, for example, the freedom of opinion and expression. When I say that freedom of opinion and expression is a human right, I also am aware of the very recent phenomena that happened with all of us during this FDP, that the internet connectivity was gone. Now, did it not harm my right of freedom and expression? That is a question. Same way, if you look at the right to education, we know today that though the right to education is a human right, though the right to education has been enshrined in the Constitution as the fundamental right, and though there are several higher education institutions and schools across the country to provide for education, what about number one, the quality of education? Number two, whether the education actually happens or it is simply a talk that happens. Same way.
Excuse me, sir, presentation is not coming.
Well, ma'am, just
screen is not coming.
Yeah,
yeah. Is not coming.
Yeah, just a minute, ma'am. Is the screen there now, ma'am?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, can you see the PPT?
Yes.
Right. Well, so let us take one more example where we believe that the respect for the rights and freedoms set forth in the Declaration of Human Rights is also one of the human rights that has been provided. But when we look at our own social security mechanisms, which happen to be the human rights framework, what we find is that certain mechanisms or certain systems in our country do not provide for security or say social security for one and all. And therefore, again, the right to equality, which is a basic human right, is also harmed. So in that frame, these all 30 human rights are to be looked at in terms of the fundamental rights as well as the reality of life. Going further, we look at the fundamental duties, a commitment or expectation to perform some action in general or if certain circumstances arise. When we say that it is a duty, it is a commitment or an expectation. Now, psychologically, we all know that the more you expect, the higher you are hurt. And therefore, the more expectations are not fulfilled, we are hurt. And therefore, the same holds true with the fundamental duties. Fundamental duties, as enshrined in the Constitution of India, are moral obligations of all citizens of a country. Now, when we say moral obligation, it essentially means that it is ideal for a citizen, for you and me, to follow or to perform those duties. Now, the question that comes is whether we perform or not, and if we perform these duties, how and what about the quality and level of those performance of duties? There are 11 fundamental duties that have been given in the Part 4A of the Constitution, basically to promote patriotism and strengthen the unity of our country. What is striking to note here that originally the fundamental duties was not a part of the Indian Constitution. That means when the Constitution was originally framed, duties did not find mention. I need to ask all of us now, including my own self, why had such a mistake been done deliberately? Or is it that duty was something which was not considered as important by the makers of the Constitution? They were added by the 42nd and 86th Constitutional Amendment Act way back later on. If we have a quick look at the duties enshrined are to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem. There is a National Emblem Act which protects these duties. To cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. Now, it is a matter of concern for all of us that in the upcoming generations, very few texts starting from the school level do include such ideals of the freedom struggle. Then there is to uphold and protect sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, to defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. Well, currently, one of the national forms of service is staying home, staying safe. To promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, regional or sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. Now, this duty is of particular mention to all of us at three levels. First, if you look back to the values of the Constitution, this is a direct reference to the constitutional value. Secondly, it is also direct reference to the right to life and security, which is a fundamental right and which is also constitutional right. And it is all the more important for the college because the college is a women's college. To value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture, to protect and improve natural environment including forests, lakes, rivers and wildlife, and to have compassion for all the living creatures. And I believe the compassion has also been provided for in all our religious scriptures, be it the Holy Bible, be it the Quran Sharif, or be it the Bhagavad Gita. To develop the scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform, and probably it is at this juncture that the NAC and the UGC are now looking at quality educations. To safeguard public property and to abjure from violence is something which has not only been given as our basic duty, but it has also been there since ages in all our religious scriptures too. To strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of valor and achievement. So that is where we talk about the all-round and national development of our country. Now, finally, before I close the session, I would wish that all of us unmute our mics and read the Constitution's preamble together. Can I request all to please unmute their mics? Well, I would definitely like all of us to read the preamble of our Constitution together. Shall we begin now? We, the people of India, and resolve to constitute India into republic and to secure all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. Now, Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, hereby enact and give to ourselves this Constitution. Thank you so much, all. Two things have happened now. I simply need an answer from all of you in yes and no. When was the last time you actually read the preamble of the Constitution? Do you remember? Probably when we were in the schools. And this day, after a long time. And this FDP and this session, probably, please do correct me if I'm wrong. I have a request to the organizations. This FDP and this reading of the Constitution of India also marks the overall first FDP of such kind to happen across the country in an E-mode where 120 of us have together spoken and believed in the preamble of our country. I thank you again, all of you, for listening me very patiently, and I apologize for the internet connectivity issue. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.